screaming, stop the violence! Like when it's really gonna stop? More in the news got me feeling like deja vu. 3, 4, 5 more shot. Murder rate at an all-time high. KC is getting killed. The new way to die. It's a massacre. We slaughtering each other in the middle of the land. It's petty to be frivolous. Without a cause. No life insurance plan. Family setting up GoFundMe's to bury you, man. It's like we love to put your face on the shirt. Love to see our community hurt. Moms crying, aching with pain, holding the remains of her baby. It's a massacre. When the violence gonna stop? Calling all big homies, cousins, uncles, and dads. Smack that youngin' upside the head and take his Glock. Lacey with knowledge, teach him the box.
Yeah.
Give him a hug, man. They missing her love, man. Graveyards and penitentiaries packed with young blacks. I stand on the front line to bring power, love, and unity back. Cause it's a massacre.
Massacre.
Just marinate on that. Massacre. I need you to feel this in the heart. Take it back home, dissect it, and play your part.
Yes, sir.
Mentor some, be a role model. Take them under your wing. Teach them the value of another human being.
Right.
This black on black is whack.
Whack.
If we kill us and they kill us, who we got? We ain't living long enough to see if black don't crack. It's a massacre. An attack on black. We so brainwashed with material things, it's hard for us to see that we are kings and queens.
Yeah.
The original beings.
Yeah.
The mathematics of everything.
Everything.
It's a massacre. When the violence gonna stop?
Right now.
Rise from the ashes. Everywhere that we go, our light be flashing. 'Cause you're alive. Yes, you're alive. You can rise as you dancing off the ashes. Rise from the ashes. So everywhere that we go, our light be flashing. 'Cause you're alive. Yes, you're alive. You can rise as you dancing off the.
We have to go back to the thought. If Black Lives Matter is about senseless killing, then we have to be inclusive without thinking. And so here, senseless, let's just look at that word. Let's just look at the word senseless. Senseless is unconscious, insensible, pointless, hopeless. It is what is happening in our own community. We have a lot of pointless, unconscionable killings. We have not learned how to settle matters, or we have not learned how to settle disputes where we walk away and live to fight another day. As opposed to being on opposite sides of thought, we think that silencing a person's voice solves the matter in these senseless killings. Where we have people in a Black community and on Columbus, don't be so close-minded to think this because we may not have drive-by shootings in the way that some bigger cities have it, that we are not somehow affected by it. We are, because the mindset is traveling. The mindset is going beyond the borders of the big cities. That's why we're having it in the small capacities in which we're having it here. Like compared to Chicago, we don't compare when it comes down to the senseless killings. But to say that because we're not having it in the capacity in which a bigger city like Chicago may be doing, or Detroit may be doing it, the fact that we have it here with 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 or 20, or last year, I think it was 30 something lives that were lost to senseless killings, to things that could have been settled in other ways other than taking the life of another person. Some people were innocent in their death. In compared to what the actual fight was about. We have lost children that just happen to be with a parent that is in dispute with someone else. But because there's no conscience, see, that's what this senseless means. No conscience. That means oblivious, not aware, not thinking. A child dies or a teenager is killed or life is taken before the life even gets going good. That young man in the video, he talks about, how do we know that black don't crack? Some of these people are dying way before they're able to even age to see if black don't crack. I mean, we're proud about things, and we should be, but the things that are working against our community, we have to attack it. We have to go at it. And senseless killings are one of those things. But it's just not against foreign, it's domestic. It's not only without of the community, but it's within the community. Because if we were to fix the police brutality part of this thing that we say are senseless murders, and we don't fix the part where it's domestic inside the community where senseless killings are happening, guess what? Black lives are still lost. We still have black children, black teenagers, black elderly, black middle age, of all spans of age that are dying senselessly. That are dying, and it could be another way to work things out. Because this is what I say. Senseless means, it doesn't mean that we don't get to protect our homes. I'm a firm believer in protecting our home. I'm a firm believer in defending if someone was to come and break into our home. That's called defense. If God forbid, I pray that never happens. But if someone was to break into someone's home and they are killed in that transaction, then to me, the homeowner or the person who was defending themselves has a right to defend their home and the lives that are in that home. But if you make me mad, or you say something about me, or you do something that could be, I say, sat down and talked about, communicated about, come up with another option of addressing the matter. If I take into my hands, or you take into your hands to kill a person because of something said or something done that wasn't life-threatening, to me, that's senseless. And that's what's happening in our black community. And this is the thing. I have to give some of this craziness, I'm going to call it that, some of this craziness to our music industry. Some of this is at the hands of our music industry because we highlight and we sensationalize and we glorify violence. We think that it gives something to our character or who we are as a people to have this violent side of us that we don't take no jump. But in a way that it makes us barbaric because we're not able to have a communication one to another and be on opposite ends of the spectrum. See, some people, in the case of me talking about this matter, if it brings you to the thought that you want to bring me harm because I have a perspective, then to me, that's barbaric. That's people that don't know how to sit down and communicate and have dialogue and be on opposite end of the spectrum, but everybody walks away alive. And if we in the black community don't learn how to do this, then guess what's going to happen? This is not going to stay in one portion of the city. This is not going to stay like right here on this side of town. The thing about evil and the thing about this type of mindset, senseless, remember, it's unconscious. It goes everywhere. It will broaden itself. It will no longer be satisfied with victimizing right around here, but it will want to spread and become a part of as much as it can consume. When have we ever known evil to put up boundaries? No, I'm going to tell you what stops evil. when good, righteous people put up boundaries and refuse it to come closer or come any further. You know, I'm talking about this subject, but I'm always talking from the perspective of where God is speaking. I'm never going to talk out of opinion. I'm going to talk from a spiritual aspect, because all of this is really just spiritual stuff. You know, what's in a man's heart, he acts out. And so if we don't think that we have to do something in the sense of changing the mind of those who are affected by this, those who are acting out this mentality of senseless killings from domestic, I'm talking on the inside of the community, just like the young man was talking to, it's a massacre. It's a massacre. And so some people take a position and say, well, that's just normal statistics that people kill, you know, within their own community. Okay, I understand that part. But we're talking about senseless killings, just like we're talking about it when it comes down to police brutality. Those are senseless killings. But how many times do we march? How many times do we march for the 1-year-old, the 2-year-old that's sitting in their house and that's just trying to watch cartoons or just trying to have a evening snack? Or how many times do we march to stop that senseless killing? When do we take a position that senseless violence is not tolerated from anyone or anybody? When do we take that position? You know, I beg to differ that Black Lives Matter excludes domestic within the community. I beg to differ that we don't have a responsibility as a Black people and brown people to first turn inward. First, you know, my thing is this: if I respect me, love me, cherish me, esteem me, then people will take on what I think of me. And they will, even if they don't like it, they have to respect it. And sometimes people will treat you like you treat yourself. If you don't think very highly of yourself, people have the tendency to treat you how you think of yourself. And the Black community, this is a responsibility that we have. We may never change the minds of those on the outside of our community. So what do we do then? You can't change prejudice. You can, but it's got to be a willingness from the other party. It's got to be a willingness that they want to do the change. But if they don't want to change, do we not make a change? Do we not still make sure that Black Lives Matter to us? You can put the laws on the books. I get it. But we have many laws on the book that are broken, that are not adhered to when a person has in their heart to do something opposite of what the laws say. You know, it's against the law for police officers to brutalize citizens. That you don't have to make a law for that. That's against the law. That's the same law they're supposed to be upholding. Unfortunately, when you put in the hands of the brutalizer the law, he gets to bend it at his will. So what we must do as a community, we have to, like, I love the idea of making the police officers accountable. And I'll say this, all the police officers who are doing it right and doing it good, this is not a slight to you. This is not a slight to you for accountability to be in place. You don't have to feel threatened or feel like this is infringing on you all, or this is a slap to police officers. It's not. It's just like any other field of service. There's good and bad in every field. And whenever you don't want accountability, then you're going to allow the bad in that field to run amok. You know, we have every aspect of jobs, titles, like we got doctors, you know, and if you have a doctor in there that's practicing bad medicine, see, there's a board he has to answer to. But if no one ever tells that this doctor is practicing bad medicine and that he's misrepresenting what his oath was as a doctor, if there's no accountability, he gets to just keep practicing bad medicine. So police officers don't have to feel slighted. That accountability needs to be in place. The cameras and all of this need, people having cameras on their phones and they're recording things that are being done. You don't have to feel any kind of way about that, because if you're doing what is right, hey, let it be recorded. At the end of the day, it doesn't have to be a push and pull in that. Everybody has to own their part in this Black Lives Matter. But the first people who have to own that Black Lives Matter is Black and brown folk. And so I got on here. I asked a question: does every Black life matter to us? I'm not blind. I kind of see things just the way sometimes it's put out there, and sometimes we have measures of who lives matter, and even in the Black community, we have measures. We have who's deserving of this or that, but everyone is deserving of life. There is no one, and I'll say Black, white, whatever there's no one that deserves violent death or senseless death and senseless killings. Our young people in our Black community are being taught that this mindset of gaining respect by taking the life of someone, if we don't cut that snake off, the head off of that snake, every time this person who is believing this has the opportunity to speak to now their offspring and teach them that, can you imagine how this thing could end up going and just spreading like cancer? That's why it used to be kind of like a hidden thing back in the day. You had retaliation, but this was a whole nother kind of thing going on today. We used to get out there and duke it out, fist fight, and then the fist fight grew a little bit, then folks started running to their car. And now it escalate and escalate. And now, and it used to be back in the day where if life was taken like that in a retaliation, it was a sneaky thing. Nobody saw anything, no witnesses. But now, today, just for the word respect, it's openly done. It's openly displayed. And it's kind of like the enemy's way of bringing fear to a community in order to keep the reign of terror going. Because if someone will openly kill someone, then the community knows that this is a dangerous person. And so then they pull back. But if we don't cut the head off of that snake and say that this is this is the thing we need to make accountable, we're quickly to record the police brutalizing Black people. But we won't turn that same camera around and turn it on those who are brutalizing us within our own community, because that's the snitch then, which is what we're doing on opposite way. And I know I'm touching some very touchy subjects here, but I'm trying to tell you how the enemy is moving in our community and the communities around us. He doesn't really care about life, period. He doesn't care that we kill each other in the Black community. He really doesn't care if we kill each other in the white community. He doesn't care about people. The enemy doesn't. I'm talking about Satan, Lucifer, however you want to address it. And I know some people may say they don't believe in God and all this thing like this, but this platform, Round Table, we do. And I know the enemy is out to kill, steal, and destroy. And he's out to destroy communities, people, lives. And he doesn't care any way that he does it. And in the Black Lives Matter, I'll say, if we don't recognize that this violence and senseless killings, needs to come to a halt, that we can't contain it. I think people think they can contain it, that they can keep it in this little area here and it'll be okay. But it doesn't. So this is why I appeal to the white community. don't take a defense about Black Lives Mattering, because what is happening in our community, I guarantee you, Satan, the enemy, is not going to let it stay right there. It will affect you as well. This is not a black or white issue. This is a sin, evil issue. Unfortunately, we have people in position, in the authorities' position, when it comes down to Black Lives Matter, the movement as far as police brutality or injustice in the Black community against the Black community, that unfortunately are not governed by the Heavenly Father. And so whenever you have someone not governed by Heavenly Father, then you're going to have unrighteous movement. But then that's where we as a community, as people, not just black or white people, black people or white people, but black and white people, we get to what? We get to police our community with accountability. Everybody should be accountable to somebody. And so they have to keep their hands on top of the table and make sure they're doing things upright, because they're keepers of the law. But turn this thing over in the Black community, it's the same thing. We need to police our community. We need to make sure that those who are brutalizing us in our community are not able to do that. That they're not able to keep us in hostage, in fear. Because I don't know if they understand this or not, but fear is not respect. Fear is fear. Fear is what somebody takes. They take your sense of sure-mindedness, or they take your sense of peace. They take that. But respect can only be given. Can't take respect. So when they're saying that you're gonna respect me, no, that's just fear. You're causing fear. And that's why the violence keeps repeating itself, because fear begets what? Fear. So if I fear you, in order to take away the threat of fear, 9 times out of 10, you got to take away the person. But respect, see, it's a different thing. Respect allows me the opportunity to have an opposite thought of you, or opposite position from you, and still be good. And I don't have to take anything from you in order to have respect. It's something I freely give. And if I don't want to give it, it's no big deal. But but fear is that thing that keeps this violence going in the Black community. The guy kept calling it a massacre. Why? People are dying. Our community there are some communities, even in Columbus, at night, you don't want to be there. In Little Columbus, you don't want to be in this community at night. Why? Fear. Fear of what? Senseless killings, crime. And this is, and we say we only, black on black is because this is who we live around. And so this is how it happens. But why? Why in your community is it okay to kill, but then you want to get a picket sign and go and protest if that same black person that you would have shot and killed in your own neighborhood now is shot and killed by a police officer? That life mattered. It should have mattered to you, just like it matters to you about the officer that may have taken that life. I don't think that it's right to take the life. I don't think the authorities have the right to senselessly kill. And I don't think it's right for us in our own community to senselessly kill. I think we have to own some of what is happening because we don't value us. We don't value who we are as a people. And when I'm saying this, please hear me. Don't think that I'm talking about every black person. Don't turn the channel and say, she don't know what she's talking about because we do. No, we value to a point to a social status. We value to a financial status. We value to a political status. We value, it just depends on what you have to bring to the table, whether or not we have a value on you. Some of the black people who have died at the hands of some police officers, outside of their death, would have meant nothing to some other black people that protested. Some, because they had nothing. They had no sense of value. Their value only came in their death. That's what I mean by us. We as a black people, we got to get our head wrapped around our own value. Some of us have value and we have no money. Some of us have value and we may be a Republican. God forbid if a black person is a Republican. We literally will hate them as black people. That's why I don't really I said this before, I don't do politic thing. I really don't, because you can lose good friends because you're not in a party that they want you to be. As if my heart is any different than what it was before you knew who my political party was. Or personally, I don't have a political party. How about that? So you don't have to hate me for that. But we'll disown each other. We will disfranchise each other over stuff like money, politics, political. We'll separate and divide and value or devalue each other. If you're not a part of this group, if you're not a part of that group, if you're not with this thing or that thing, we use anything and everything to separate ourselves. Because why? Black lives don't really matter to us all the time. And if you think people on the outside don't notice it, they noticed it. They noticed it. They noticed that we are separated and divided. And the Bible talks about, the word says that a divided house won't stand. It just can't. We have to be united. And if we're going to say Black Lives Matter, then we have to know that every Black Lives Matter in whatever the situation is. I am just sick and tired of turning on the TV or hearing once again or seeing on Facebook another Black person dying, most of the time the young, from senseless killings. Stuff that could have been, we just sit down and have a conversation, just kind of talk things through and see where someone's perspective might be. But we want to fix. It's up to us to demand that we will no longer be brutalized by foreign or domestic. That our lives, Black, do matter. So until next week, I want to say to you all, be blessed, be safe, love one another, keep the banner of unity above our heads. To God be the glory. Till next week.